I will protect you with my life, but I will change your whole world if you try to interfere with the revolution of herds. This is Bedtime Stories, Grown-Up Edition, Resurrection, Part 1. When we left off in the introduction, Bosch had showed up in Denton, Texas. He was on a mission to have a conversation with Big Wood. It seems that his goal was to explain to Big Wood that his intentions were never to disrespect him or to interfere in his relationship with True. He simply capitalized on a situation in which everybody believed Big Wood was dead, including him and True. How he expected that to work out is anybody's guess. He ain't tell me that part. What he did tell me, though, was that he completely failed to heed Melissa's warning. She told that man to stand at least 4 feet away from Big Wood. And when he went to go over to that man and shake his hand, he almost drew back a nub, because Big Wood broke the 3.5-foot cane that had been sitting by his side while Bosch was talking over that man's wrist, grabbed him by his shirt, pulled him down to his eye level, and held the broken piece of cane to his throat and said, I don't want to have to repeat myself, nigga. And I don't ever want to see you again. And while Big Wood's speech was labored, the big man still had the speed of a cat and the heart of a damn lion. He had told that man to walk away and live, and he didn't plan on telling him again. When Q had told him that he would not live if he went back to Denver, Bosch had the audacity to say that he didn't want True to be alone. And when Big Wood said that she wasn't, he didn't leave well enough alone. He said, I'm not talking about security. I'm talking about somebody who cares about her. And that was way too much for Big Wood's patience. He told Melissa that he would not use his cane as a weapon if Bosch heeded his and Q's warning. He knew that Q was going to pull up the rear so that Big Wood wouldn't have to show all his cards. He didn't want Bosch to see his weakness or feel like he had the upper hand because of it. But Bosch had tried his luck when he suggested that he cared about True. Q said, nigga, you pushing your luck. You got a death wish? You ready to meet your maker? Cause I'ma let that man kill you. And then I'ma call some niggas to come in here and remove your body. If you know like I know, you better start talking right. Bosch said, I promise you, my intent is not disrespect. I would never even come to a man about his woman if I didn't respect that man. If this was about taking what's yours, I would have unholstered this pistol on my hip when I came in here and saw you sitting down. You taught me never to let a man stand over you. I ain't miss that you didn't stand up, and I ain't miss the cane. I ain't no punk nigga. Respect brought me here. And then Big Wood let him go. He and Q made eye contact, and Big Wood nodded his head. Q said, you're not owed an explanation. I don't care what story you tell yourself about my brother's absence in the life of his fiancée. Neither does he. You should not need convincing to let go of something that was never yours. You slept in the home that this man owns. And then Big Wood threw the broken piece of cane at Bosch's head. Thankfully, he ducked. Q said, come on, man, you're gonna have to control yourself. If you want me to speak for you, the nigga gotta be able to pay attention. Wood said, and Q continued saying, you a bold nigga, but they don't call you Brutal Bosch for nothing. I took a hell of a risk when I let my security let you on my property armed. But you gotta know you wasn't never a threat. I just needed to see how you was gonna play it. And then the man that Bosch didn't see pushed the cloak closet door open, stepped out, and Bosch looked down and saw the red dot over his heart. Then he looked at Q and said, well played. I guess that's why you the boss. Then Q explained to Bosch why Big Wood needed to be dead. He said, we are in an all-out war with an international trafficking organization that has a grudge against this man because of something he did when he was 8 years old. Everybody believes that this is about me, but this man is the reason why the only living relative of the head of the international trafficking organization is no longer his living relative. Yeah, Regina's the one who offed her, but this man put that in motion nearly 40 years ago. This ain't a new beef. It's just come to a head. And the fact that they believe this man is dead and they still coming for me and mine is proof that this man has to stay dead. True is not alone, and she has more than security with her. And it won't be long before she have her man back. If that's what you needed to know to prevent another war, then now you know. And today is a great day to be alive. When Bosch left, Q looked at Wood and said, now, you just showing up in Denver or you want somebody to give her a heads up? Meanwhile, in Miami, it was finally time for Sincere and Saint to head back to Paris. They still needed to finish assignment 6 and 7. Sincere and Nell had found a happy medium. The DNA test had been taken. Sincere is in fact the pappy. And Nell has her sights on queendom. The only problem is Sincere ain't going. He told Nell in no uncertain terms that while they were going to be parents, they were not going to be an item. And she told him that if she couldn't have him, she'd kill anybody else who tried to have him. She'd also told Natalia that. And she finally returned to the St. James estate. When she returned to the house almost 2 weeks later, Sincere met her at the door. He said, let me guess, you've been with my little brother. And Natalia said, wherever I've been is not your business or your concern. How's your baby mama? And like a jack in the box, Nell popped out. She said, I'm good. Thanks for asking. So we clear? That's my man. Natalia said, no worries. You got it. Sincere said, I am not her man. Natalia said, it doesn't matter because you're not mine either. Sincere said, you got that glow. That glow that women have when they done been face down. And before he could finish the sentence, Saint walked in the door. He said, nigga, watch your mouth. Let's go ahead and get some things cleared up. I don't care what you want, how you feel, what you think. When you see her, you see me. And when you talk to her, you need to remember that. She not a little girl who you could sweet talk, get in your bed, and set it up so I can walk in on it. Sincere said, oh, you staking your claim, huh? Saint said, nah. She ended things with you and came and found me. Sincere said, I'm sure she had some help with that. And so did you, because you ain't never been able to take nothing from me. Saint said, I ain't never wanted to take nothing from you. That's your speed, big brother. I ain't never wanted nothing you or another nigga had. Ain't no envy in me. I made it real easy for you to get the home run. And you fumbled the ball. Sincere said, oh, and then what? You picked it up and ran it down for the first down? Because I know you ain't run it all the way back for a touchdown. Saint said, nah, I'm doing what our parents should have done years ago. I'm ending the game. Sincere said, right. Then he looked at Natalia and asked, let me ask you something. If you ain't find out that she was pregnant, Natalia said, she isn't even a factor. Nell said, the hell I'm not. Natalia looked at Janelle and said, sweetheart, you ain't got to compete where you don't compare. If I wanted him, I'd have kept him. I was over him the minute I realized that his brother was concerned about him and he was paying him in dust. I can't do nothing with a selfish man. You got ambition, you got goals, but you and I have very different ideas about what a man is. I can't respect how you move, how you handled your brother in a situation that was confusing, stressful, and painful. The only person's feelings you were even concerned with were your own. You disrespected me in front of my mother, and then you disrespected her. And you didn't even have the presence of mind to apologize. Sincere said, I did apologize to her. Natalia said, you disrespected a man's wife. You don't think you needed to apologize to my father? Sincere said, I'm grown. Natalia said, and if that's how you define being grown, you got a whole lot to learn, and I can't help you with that. You should probably stick to the rivers and the lakes that you used to. Sincere said, oh, you talked to your pops, and he told you that. Natalia said, I talked to my father, and he apologized for not giving me a heads up, but he also reassured me that he knew whatever I decided would be what was best for me. Now, my man said I gotta stay here, and I think he wanna talk to you about what that's gonna look like. Y'all have a good one. And she walked off. Nell said, well, damn. I see what you saw in her. She ain't even cuss you out, and she should have. But I'ma leave too. Saint, the floor is all yours. And then she walked away. Saint said, we got work to do. You could do whatever you wanna do while we're gone. Anything and everything, except contact my girl. I don't care about the time y'all spent together, what you did or didn't do with her. Sincere said, I'm sure she probably told. Saint cut him off and said, I didn't even ask. I was exactly who I said I was the whole time I was dating her. And she was exactly who she said she was the whole time she was dating you. Because she was exactly who she said she was the whole time she was dating me. Thankfully, though, the spirit moved her, and she chose your little brother, the worker, the one who's always chosen you. So that time is over. I will protect you with my life, but I will change your whole world if you try to interfere with the revolution of hers. Sincere said, nigga, you threatening me? Saint walked up on his big brother and said, try me. And when Sincere went to take a swing, Saint ducked it and hit him square in the chest, knocking the wind out of him and knocking him on his behind. Then he stood over him and said, we got work to do. Let's go. In the drawing room, while Natalia calmly made herself a cup of tea, Nell did her absolute best to ear hustle on the conversation between Sincere and Saint. And after having no luck, she turned to Natalia and said, I bet you really feeling yourself right now. You got two niggas beefing over you. Natalia said, no. I meant every word I said out there. What I forgot to say was I wish you two the best. Nell said, no you don't. And as glad as I am to hear that you don't want my man. And I ain't even mad at you for getting his end together out there. But I got issue with something you said to him. Natalia said, oh really? Nell said, yes, really. You question Sincere's manhood. Just because he not the man for you don't mean he not a man. You should know it takes all kinds to make this world go round. And while your daddy was giving you the game, he should have told you that the only one who can define manhood for a man is that man. And your mammy should have told you there's a fine line between analyzing your experiences to make a decision and being judgmental. And I could tell by the look on your face, you prejudged me too. You decided I was a ghetto bird with no intellect. But you judged wrong because you don't know me. And you don't know him. You don't know the life that we've lived. And yeah, it's a lot I still don't know about it. Because I didn't even know his mama and daddy was dead. And I hadn't met his siblings. But unlike you, I have years of experience learning and earning that man. And I ain't coming up off him. Because when he stopped thinking he bigger than the program, he gonna realize I'm everything he need to get everything he want. Meanwhile, in Denton, Texas, Chantal was on FaceTime with her sister Star. And Star was patiently listening as Chantal told Star her whole life, who and what she is and how she got there, including how she found her way to the apostolic faith through her childhood best friend, Gretchen. Gretchen had lived down the street from them. Her whole family was apostolic. In order for the two to be friends, when Chantal spent the night, she had to go to church with Gretchen and her family. At that church, the pastor took a liking to Chantal, told her that he saw spiritual gifts in her that he wanted to develop. And not having had the attention of her own father, she embraced him like a father. When Gretchen attended the summer camp that the church was hosting, and their parents refused to let her go, she'd been heartbroken. And when that summer camp had been shut down due to allegations of misconduct, she still didn't see why her parents didn't let her go, because the allegations mysteriously went away. When Pastor Corey told her that her pastor had been sleeping with all the girls and young women in the church, despite the fact that he was married with children, and several of the children born to those young women who'd been penalized for having children out of wedlock, were in fact the pastor's offspring, Chantal was devastated. Pastor Corey had helped her work through that. And then he'd enlisted her help and taken her old pastor down with a Bible in one hand and a broken heart in the other. She'd done what needed to be done, but she did not come out of that unscathed. She wasn't just devastated that her mentor, her father figure, was not the man she thought he was. She was also devastated because she'd been enamored with him, secretly in love with him. And what she thought was a secret really wasn't, because it was written all over her. And he'd done everything in his power to groom and prepare her, not for her role in the church, but for her role in his life. And she knew that for sure. She'd helped CT with the operation that took him down. Turns out, he was also connected to the International Trafficking Organization. Because one of the ways that they did what they did was they found out people's secrets, got dirt on them, and then used them to do their dirty work. And that's exactly what they'd done to Chantal's previous pastor. The interim pastor was nothing at all like the previous one. Not only was he not a pedo, but he wasn't as charismatic, as impactful, or as well liked. So the church community was struggling. They were also struggling with the fact that they'd been excommunicated from the larger church community, not just because of what their pastor did, but because of the stance that they took when that man went to the slammer. Instead of rejecting him, they stood by him. And that's primarily what had Chantal in a crisis of faith. It's why she blocked everybody in the church community. But there was another reason why she was struggling in her faith. Learning that her family operated one of the most infamous criminal organizations in the world, that her father was a married man, and that her mother was a no-good, low-down, dirty viper, had all come together to leave her whole world turned upside down. And she told Star all of this. This was the first time that she'd admitted all of this to anybody in her family. And that was all thanks to Mom Brenda. Because when she finally admitted that she was having a crisis of faith, Mom Brenda told her, there should be nothing and no one that can turn your heart away from God. No matter what happens, He is the author and the finisher of your faith. And if your faith is not in man, money, muscle, or even your own mind, then none of those things failing should be able to take you off your square. Believe me, I understand. There are things that life will throw your way that will rattle even the most faithful follower. But a little rattle ain't never hurt nobody. Life's ills might rattle your flesh, but don't let it rattle your faith, baby. I understand the need to walk away from the things that rattle. But if you're gonna walk away, you should walk away with your faith intact. Otherwise, why walk away? When it's all said and done, we ain't got nothing or nobody but God. So anything that can take our faith in Him away, already had it. Chantal and Mom Brenda had been having conversations off and on for days. But that final conversation happened after Star left Texas. When she'd wrapped up her little mediation session between Saint and Natalia, she hopped on a private and went straight to Denton. She needed to tell her sister Chantal that their sister Simone had been kidnapped, drugged, and was in rehab. She also needed to tell her that she'd pretended to be her, met all her friends, including Randy Brown, a man at her church who'd been in love with and pursuing Chantal for years. A man Chantal had never mentioned. A man she'd been playing to the left because she was in love with her pastor, and who she'd been slightly entertaining since about a year after her pastor went to the feds. He'd said some things to Star that had her asking her sister some questions. Of course, he thought Star was Chantal. And since Star was pretending to have laryngitis, she didn't have a whole lot to add to that conversation, but she was all ears. So when Chantal finished her whole speech about the life and times of being an apostolic Christian, Star said, so basically, you're going to let the things that other people have done and not done interfere with your calling, knock you off your assignment, and keep you from finding love. Is that what you're telling me? I get that your pastor did a number on you, but it ain't a nigga in this galaxy who's a big enough nigga to keep me from putting my left foot in and shaking it all about. And that's what it's all about. At the same time, the Queen Mother and Salima were having a conversation. The Queen Mother said, listen, I get it. It's real hard to sit still when you got a baby in the NICU and you have nothing else to occupy your time. I don't have to tell you what you should be doing, though. Salima said, I know. Taking care of my body, enjoying my husband, and preparing for the baby to come home. I've done and am doing all of that. But to be perfectly honest with you, I'm still in my feelings that I had to handle that damn Hanifa and her father via video conference. Where the hell was the fun in that? Queen Mother said, this isn't a job that's supposed to be fun. Balancing all of the things for which you are responsible requires a delicate balance. But you need to remember that before you're a contender for the role of Queen Pin, you are a wife and a mother. And those roles come first. Salima said, I'm sorry, but I really don't know how they're supposed to come first. And I didn't take them on until after I started pursuing my father's seat at the table. I feel like I was balancing everything just fine until I got knocked up and you sat me down. The Queen Mother said, life sat you down, Salima? How many times do we have to have this conversation? You do realize that we don't have to agree, right? I made a decision. You should be trying to figure out a way to live with it peacefully. My decision should have made it easier for you to do what you should be doing right now. Samuel, Nadia, and I are doing the best we can to keep Wise from knocking your head between the washer and the dryer. Now, he keeps telling me that he's not domestic, but I can tell that he wants to strangle you. Where are we going wrong, Salima? What am I missing? Do you need to see a therapist? Do you need an exorcism? Are you having a hard time going without sex? Salima said, I think I need all of them. Heavy on that last one, though. But let me ask you a question. You ever been jealous of a baby? The Queen Mother said, child, I was jealous of you and my kids, and now I'm jealous of all of y'all children. All of y'all had more accommodating parents and grandparents than I had. Now, I wasn't the one spoiling my children. That was all my Andy. Salima said, right, because it wasn't you making 3 different meals for dinner. And me and Anya didn't have every single Cabbage Patch doll that they released, because you ain't buy them. Queen Mother said, I may have contributed to it, but seeing my children with their children is bound to give me a damn cavity. Way too much sugar. But what exactly are you jealous of? Your baby is only a few weeks old and she's right here in this NICU. Salima said, all Wise thinks about, talks about, is the baby. All anybody asks me about is the baby. Every single person who calls me on the phone only calls to get an update on the baby. I'm going to start answering the phone and putting it in the bassinet, and they could talk to her they damn self. The Queen Mother said, Salima, Everyone's just trying to be supportive. We're all trying to encourage you. Make sure that you have everything you need for yourself and the baby. A baby whose name I haven't heard you say yet. What exactly are you trying to protect yourself from? Salima said, I'm not trying to protect myself from anything. And I do say her name. I guess I just don't say it in conversation. But I say it when I'm talking to her. The Queen Mother said, right. If something were to happen to Alana, you will not be able to protect yourself from the pain. And you're not going to be able to maintain some comfortable distance from the child that you gave life to with the hopes of making it easier for you to go back to work. Believe me, every mother has tried it. It does not work. All it does is contribute to postpartum depression and create unnecessary tension in your household. Right now, your husband is picking up your slack, but I'm not sure how long you expect for him to be patient. Salima said, you got it all wrong. This is just my general way of being. The Queen Mother said, well, shake out of it. Both your baby and your husband need you, and you need you. I'm calling Miranda. You're going to talk to her. You're going to tell her the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And together, y'all can figure out how best to share that truth with Wise. Salima said, I don't think that's a good idea. The Queen Mother said, of course you don't. You've learned to trust him with your body, to trust him with your life, your secrets, and some areas of your heart. But you still haven't learned to trust him with your thoughts or the emotions that those thoughts create. And that's no way to be in a marriage. You're going to have to let him in, or you're going to lose that man. Just ask Stephanie.
So fucking selfish, can't get through.